All right, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel again. Thank y'all so much for coming over, man. Got this video here from the Trap Post channel. Every crazy rap theory that might actually be true. Woo-wee. I know they about to go into some crazy detail, man. Again, appreciate you guys coming over and watching. Hopefully everything will go smoothly with this video, but we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Theory 1. Jay-Z is a Fed. This theory always comes back to one name, Desiree Perez.
Boy.
Today, she's the powerhouse CEO of Roc Nation, running Jay's entertainment empire and a sports agency. But her story didn't start in the boardrooms or at Super Bowl halftime shows. It started in the shadows of the federal justice system. Back in 1994, Perez got popped for 35 kilos of cocaine. That's not a small-time bust. That's enough to bury you under the prison system for decades. But instead of disappearing behind bars, Perez flipped the script. According to court transcripts that surfaced years later, the New York Daily News got hold of them back in 2015. She cut a deal with the DEA.
I'm trying to read because I've done a few videos where, you know, her name has come up. I'm just trying to remember what I remember. That's why I like watching multiple videos, man, because although you may hear some things, some people have different stories or the same stories with more information. This is crazy, man. And he's saying this isn't alleged, like this is actually what happened? Sheesh.
She strapped on wires, recorded meetings with high-level traffickers, and helped federal agents crack open drug rings from Puerto Rico to Colombia. For years, this was insider gossip in the music world, whispered about but never fully confirmed. Then came the bombshell. In January 2021, on his way out of office, Donald Trump pardoned Perez. The official statement admitted it. She had been involved in a narcotics conspiracy, but has since turned her life around and became an advocate for reform. To many, it was confirmation that one of Jay-Z's closest allies was, without question, a documented federal informant. And Jay's former best friend and childhood partner, DeHaven Irby, has been screaming about this for years. He grew up with Jay in the Marcy Projects, ran the streets with him, and claims they were inseparable. But when DeHaven caught his own case, Jay-Z allegedly cut ties, and the timing was right around when he started rolling with Perez. To DeHaven, that wasn't a coincidence.
So you get out of jail, he start rocking with the other side?
It was already rocking. I had to put two and two together later. I win my case and come home. You don't want to talk to me.
Yo.
Things got uglier in 2007 when Jay dropped his American Gangster album. On the song, No Hook, Jay spits. So F DeHaven for caving. That's why we don't speak. Made men ain't supposed to make statements. To DeHaven, that was a death sentence in their world. Being labeled a snitch in street culture is like being marked for life.
Man.
And the irony in his eyes was brutal. Jay-Z was running around with Desiree Perez, someone who had actually been a cooperator. Even Dame Dash, Jay's former Rockefeller co-founder, said in interviews he wanted nothing to do with Perez once her informant background came out. He didn't want that kind of energy around his business. But Jay didn't just keep her around, he elevated her. That's one of the core reasons this theory keeps circling back. If you're the biggest rapper alive, why would your right-hand person be someone with those kinds of ties, unless that connection benefited you? The examples don't stop there. Take the Lance Rivera stabbing in 1999. Jay was accused of stabbing the music exec at a Q-Tip album release party.
What?
That kind of charge could have ended his career, but instead of prison, he got 3 years probation. For decades, everyone assumed he got lucky. But in 2023, Rivera himself admitted Jay didn't even stab him.
Was Jay-Z the one that actually stabbed you?
No. Jay-Z was not the guy who actually stabbed me that night.
That matched what Nas had said years earlier on Ether, that Jay had taken the rap for someone else. But theorists flipped it on its head. If he was innocent, why plead guilty? Was there a quiet deal made to keep things moving smoothly? Then there's the contrast with his partners. Biggs Burke, one of Rockefeller's original founders, got hit with a 5-year federal sentence in 2012 for moving marijuana. Meanwhile, Jay kept climbing, clean as ever, on his way to billionaire status. Fans bring up his old Lost 92 Bricks line and wonder, how does a man rap about that kind of weight, move in those circles, and yet dodge all the legal bullets that took down everyone around him? Fast forward to the Diddy investigations in the 2020s, and the whispers only got louder. Civil lawsuits dragged Jay-Z and Beyoncé's names into the mess, painting them as potential witnesses to Puff's infamous freak-off parties. Some tabloids even claimed Jay was ready to throw Diddy under the bus to save himself and his family. Whether true or not, it fits the narrative that Jay's survival instinct always comes first, no matter who gets sacrificed. And then there's the wild stuff. Like in 2014, when an inmate named Dupree Jr. filed a $2.4 billion lawsuit claiming Jay-Z and Beyoncé were actually FBI agents who snuck into his prison and stole 3,000 of his songs. The courts tossed it, called him delusional, but the fact that people could even imagine it, that the idea of Jay being a Fed didn't feel completely absurd, that shows just how deep this perception runs. Theory 2. The Illuminati killed Prodigy. On June 20th, 2017, Prodigy in a Las Vegas hospital. The official story from the Clark County Medical Examiner was that it was accidental asphyxiation. Basically, he choked on an egg while being treated for sickle cell anemia, the disease he had been battling since he was a kid.
According to the Clark County Medical Examiner, Prodigy, one half of Mobb Deep, choked on an egg while at the hospital getting treated for a flare.
To a lot of people, that explanation sounded almost too ordinary. Fans who had followed Prodigy for decades couldn't believe that a man who fought through sickle cell could go out like that by choking on breakfast food in a hospital full of doctors. It didn't sit right, and part of the reason it didn't sit right is because Prodigy himself had spent the last 20+ years warning the world about a shadowy enemy he called the Illuminati. This wasn't some posthumous theory dreamt up after he passed. Prodigy himself had been the architect of it. Since the mid-90s, he'd been saying their name on wax, making it clear he believed powerful forces were pulling strings behind the scenes. The first big moment came in 1995 when he jumped on LL Cool J's I Shot Ya remix and dropped the line, "Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body, secret society trying to keep their eye on me." At first, it sounded cryptic, almost like some...
Now this one right here, I 1000% believe. I reacted to the video about Prodigy. Yeah. I mean, if you read in between the lines, man, come on.
Clever wordplay, but the deeper Prodigy got into his career, the more he leaned into it. What started as a throwaway rhyme became a lifelong obsession, even a mission. By 2007, while serving time for gun possession, he started writing letters from prison that didn't just talk about the Illuminati in vague terms, he put names to it. He claimed that in 1996, he had a spiritual awakening where everything clicked. Government, religion, politics, even the Federal Reserve. All of it in his eyes was a scam designed to keep people blind, and in one of those letters, he pointed directly at Jay-Z. He wrote that Hove knows the truth but chose sides with evil in order to be accepted in the corporate world, accusing him of hiding knowledge from the black community while pushing what Prodigy called the lifestyle of the beast. And Prodigy didn't stop there. He promised that he'd never stop fighting this so-called hidden order. In his words, "I will relentlessly attack Jay-Z, the Illuminati, and any and every other evil that exists until my lights are put out." Then he added something that now feels chilling. "I fear nothing and no one. I'm fearless because the truth has set me free from the Illuminati mental enslavement." He later clarified that he didn't literally mean Jay-Z was some card-carrying Illuminati member, but he doubled down on the bigger picture, that there were elite groups manipulating the world, and that hip-hop was a tool they were using.
I believe that there's definitely secret society. You know what I mean? I believe definitely maybe some of these label heads, like major labels and like major corporate companies, might have something to do with it.
As he got older, his warnings only got louder. In interviews, he talked about satanic rituals involving kids. On Twitter in 2014, he posted about voodoo rids on kids and told his followers to wake up, saying people were too blind to see what was happening. By one of his last interviews, he brushed the whole Illuminati topic off like it wasn't even worth debating anymore. He called it preschool information. And he wasn't just talking. Prodigy was planning something huge, a musical about the Illuminati. He was working on it with music journalist Kathy Landoli. She later confirmed it, saying it was going to be a semi-autobiographical piece, starting from his prison years and expanding into how Illuminati paranoia became woven into hip-hop itself.
Now he
Prodigy
gone.
wasn't content with dropping bars or tweets. He was trying to put the whole thing on a stage for the world to see. That's why, for a lot of people, the way he died felt way too convenient. Sure, sickle cell anemia is no joke. It put him in hospitals often, drained his energy, and made every year a fight. But how does a 42-year-old man, surrounded by doctors and nurses, choke on a boiled egg to the point of death? His family didn't buy it either. They ended up filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the Spring Valley Medical Center in Las Vegas. They said the hospital staff were negligent, that they didn't monitor him properly, that his IV wasn't working, that his oxygen levels weren't being checked, even after doctors had specifically said it needed to be done. The whispers grew even louder when years later, a clip of Kanye West discussing Prodigy's death with Candace Owens mysteriously got yanked from YouTube. Owens herself got slapped with a 1-week suspension after the fact. To believers, that wasn't random. That was proof. The man's death was still too sensitive to be spoken about in public. Of course, skeptics push back. They say it was nothing more than a tragic accident. Sickle cell weakens your body in ways most people don't understand. If he was sedated or if his body was worn down from treatment, something as simple as food could become fatal. And the truth is, no criminal investigation was ever launched. No evidence of foul play has ever surfaced. But when you put all the pieces together, the official story feels incomplete. For his fans, it wasn't an accident. It was a prophecy, one Prodigy himself had already written. Theory 3. Suge Knight injected AIDS into Eazy-E. March 26.
On this story right here, I've heard so much about this. Again, what we got to look at is the people who are going against the grain. And you don't want to sound like no conspiracy theorist or nothing like that. But it's like, man, this stuff literally be put right in our faces. But I told y'all, most of the times we care too much. We just want to dance. We want to go viral. We want to do that new TikTok, or you want to do whatever the case may be. And when I say we, I'm saying as human beings, not myself, but a lot of people just want to dance, man. They don't really care about the truth, or they're just scared of it. But I've heard so many things about this. So many.
It's 1995, the day the hip-hop world lost Eazy-E. He died in Los Angeles at just 30 years old. The official cause of death was pneumonia brought on by complications from AIDS. What made his passing so shocking wasn't just that he died young, but how fast it all happened. On February 24th, he was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center with what doctors thought was a really bad cough. By the time they ran the test, they discovered it wasn't just a cold, it was HIV/AIDS, and just over a month later, Eazy was gone. That quick decline from a man who looked healthy to someone in a hospital bed fighting for his life has fueled one of the darkest, most sinister conspiracy theories in rap history, a theory that says Eazy-E didn't die from natural causes, he was murdered. And the man people point to behind it was none other than Death Row Records' infamous CEO, Suge Knight. The wildest part is that the strongest evidence comes straight from Suge's own mouth. In 2003, 8 years after Eazy's death, Suge Knight went on Jimmy Kimmel Live and, while sitting back smoking a cigar, described a new method for killing someone. He said, "Technology is so high, so if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. They have a new thing out. They get blood from somebody with AIDS and they shoot you with it. That's a slow death, the Eazy-E thing."
Technology is so high, right?
Right.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right? So they got this new thing out that people sell them all the time. They get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
well, that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An easy thing, you know what I mean?
It was delivered as a joke, but it sent chills through anybody who had ever whispered about Eazy's death. That moment turned rumor into legend. Since then, Suge has been asked about it in interviews from prison. He's never flat out confessed, but he's also never denied it. In fact, in one sit-down, he brushed off incriminating himself, but then added how suspicious the timeline was, saying he had never seen anyone go from healthy to dead that fast.
Jerry told Eazy he should go to the doctor just for a checkup, physical. You didn't have one.
Next thing you know, Eric got a shot. They're supposed to make him feel better. Next thing you know, they say Eric got AIDS. Next thing you know, he's a dead mother.
And as everybody knows, Suge Knight and Eazy-E had real bitter history. The bad blood started over Dr. Dre. When Dre wanted out of his contract with Eazy's Ruthless Records to join Suge and build Death Row, Eazy refused. According to NWA's old manager, Jerry Heller, Suge and his guys didn't exactly negotiate. They showed up with baseball bats and lead pipes. They forced Eazy's hand, literally beat him into signing those release papers. So the idea that Suge might go further, in the minds of conspiracy theorists, doesn't sound far-fetched.
At all.
Violence was already part of his business model. Eazy's death didn't just shock fans. People close to him questioned it too. Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, a group Eazy mentored and signed, couldn't understand how it happened so fast. His collaborator, BG Knockout, who rode with him during the real Mother Effing G's days, was even more blunt in a 2011 interview with Hip Hop DX. He said, "I believe in my heart somebody did something to Eric. For a person to have full-blown AIDS that quickly is suspicious. I was around Eric for the last 3 years of his life, and he never had an episode like this. Never ever. Something is strange." Even Eazy's own family wasn't buying the official story. His son, Young Eazy, has gone on record multiple times saying Suge Knight murdered his father, pointing right back at that Jimmy Kimmel interview as proof. To him, it wasn't just a joke, it was a confession. But as much as conspiracy makes sense in a street-level way, there's a strong counter-argument grounded in cold facts and medical science. First off, Eazy himself admitted to living reckless. In his last public statement read by his lawyer just days before he passed, he came clean about his lifestyle. The man had 11 children by 8 different women. He rarely, if ever, used condoms. By any standard, he was at extreme risk of contracting.
So, I don't know if it ever came out if any of the women have came out and said that they have, that they got infected. I don't know, man. This one was very strange and weird, man. I was 15 years old. I remember it like it was yesterday. But it's a lot of people's death that just don't sit right with me. There seems like there's always more to the story. But you can only go by the information that you gather,
HIV naturally. And from a medical perspective, HIV can sit in your body for years, showing no obvious symptoms. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, it can advance to full-blown AIDS. When that happens, decline can be rapid. Doctors who study the disease say what happened to Eazy-E is consistent with that pattern. Microbiologist Wilmore Webley even told Vice that the idea of contracting HIV from a single tainted needle was highly unlikely. The odds are extremely low. Even Ice Cube has weighed in. On Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, Cube broke it down in simple street logic. He said, "I think if somebody poke you with one of them goddamn needles, Eazy would tell somebody, 'This mother F poked me with some shit.' If he didn't know he got poked, then the conspiracy lives on." But when asked point blank if he could rule out Suge Knight doing something like that, Cube gave the most telling answer possible. "I don't put past nobody." So the question lingers. Did Eazy-E fall victim to the reckless, dangerous lifestyle he admitted to living? Or was he silenced in a plot straight out of a gangster flick, killed not with bullets, but with a syringe? Theory 4. Tupac faked his death. The theory says that on September 13, 1996, Tupac didn't actually die from the bullets that tore through him in Las Vegas.
Think about that, man. Eazy-E 95, Tupac 96. Like, in my as a teen, this is all the stuff we used to see, combined with like what was going on in your neighborhood. The violence that I used to see, and drugs and gangs and all this type of stuff. And then you turn the news on and it's like, dang, Tupac's, it was a lot. It was a lot. Social media isn't what it is, or wasn't what it is today. So you couldn't just go like post about it. You had to either go to your friend's house or go outside and, you know, whatever. But you couldn't just grab your phone and be like, dang, did y'all hear the news? Man.
Instead, he pulled off the greatest disappearing act in rap history, staging his own death to escape enemies, slipping away in the chaos, and living out the rest of his life in exile. And if you ask the diehards, they'll tell you exactly where he went. Cuba.
Tupac actually escaping from the University Medical Center here in Vegas and relocating to New Mexico, getting protection from the Navajo tribe. I mean, you can write a fiction. You can write a fiction story, but this is not fiction. This is facts through certain people that I know.
Now, the foundation of this theory starts with Tupac himself. In the last year of his life, while sitting in prison, he reinvented himself under a new alias, Machiavelli, and this wasn't some random nickname. It was a deliberate nod to Niccolo Machiavelli, the 16th century Italian thinker whose book, The Prince, became a Bible of political survival. Why does that matter? Because in those pages, Machiavelli famously wrote about the tactical advantage of faking your own death to fool your enemies. To Pac's fans, that was a blueprint. And just weeks after his supposed death, Pac's first posthumous album dropped, The Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory. For believers, that title wasn't just an album, it was scripture. They dove headfirst into it, looking for hidden meaning. First off, they pointed to the album, which features a design by Ronald Risky Brent of Tupac as Jesus Christ on the cover, who returned from the dead after his crucifixion. They also found a pattern of sevens that felt impossible to ignore. He was shot on September 7th. He was 25 years old, 2 + 5 = 7. His official time of death was 4:03 p.m. Add that up and it's another 7. He supposedly survived for 7 days in the hospital, though officially it was 6. Suddenly, 7 became this mystical number, a prophecy of his planned return. Fans even circled July 7, 2007 as the day Tupac would rise again. Thousands waited, that date came and went, Pac never showed. But the theory didn't fade, it only grew. Then there's the way his death was handled, or rather how strangely it wasn't. One of the most famous men on the planet, gunned down in Vegas, and yet there was no public funeral, no massive memorial, nothing you'd expect for someone of his stature. To make it stranger, he was cremated the day after his death. No public viewing, no chance for closure. Just ashes that became their own mystery when his crew, the Outlaws, claimed they smoked some of them with weed in a tribute. Later, his family said that story wasn't true. So what happened to the remains? Nobody really knows. Even the official paperwork doesn't line up. The coroner's report listed Tupac as 6 feet tall and 215 pounds. Anyone who'd ever seen Pac knew that wasn't right. He was about 5'7" and much slimmer. So whose body were they measuring? And why did it happen so fast? To make things even more bizarre, there's a story that the man who cremated Tupac's body was paid $3 million by Suge Knight and then vanished into thin air, retiring immediately, like he was part of the plan. And if Pac really wanted to disappear, where better than Cuba? That's where the theory gets its backbone. His aunt, Assata Shakur, a Black Panther legend, had already been living in Cuba since 1984 after escaping prison in New Jersey. She's been protected under asylum ever since, untouchable to US authorities. If there was one place on earth Tupac could hide safely, it would be right there, under the wing of family, shielded by Castro's Cuba. Some people even claim to have direct knowledge. Michael Nice, who said he worked security for Pac, swore that he helped smuggle the rapper to Havana, supposedly with help from Castro himself. Naughty by Nature's Treach, one of Tupac's close friends, was once caught on a hot mic after an interview casually saying, "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba." And that idea has had such a grip on the culture that rappers like Eminem and Kendrick Lamar have dropped bars about it, keeping the whispers alive. But it's not just logistics. For believers, the biggest evidence comes straight from Pac's music. His lyrics have always had this haunting, prophetic quality, as if he knew what was coming. On Ain't Too Hard to Find, he rapped, "I heard rumors, I died, murdered in cold blood, dramatized, but that was fiction, some coward got the story twisted." On Better Days, he spits, "Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back, I'm coming." And then there's the intro to Bomb First. If you listen close, some fans swear you can hear a faint voice whispering, "Suge shot me." And speaking of Suge, his role in this theory is massive. He was driving the car when Pac was shot. He saw everything. For years, people have asked him directly what really happened that night, and his answers are never clear. In 2017, speaking from prison, Suge said, "With Pac, you never know." He even recalled laughing and joking with Pac in the hospital, confused about how he went from doing good to doing bad overnight. He opened that same interview by saying, when Pac died, if he really did. Even his son is added fuel, claiming Pac is alive and hiding in Malaysia. Now the other side is simple. Officially, Tupac Shakur is dead. The Las Vegas police, the hospital staff, and most importantly, his mother, Afeni Shakur, all confirmed it. The first officer on the scene, Chris Carroll, described holding Pac in his final moments, asking who shot him, and Pac summoning the strength to look him dead in the eye and say, "F you." Those were his last words.
He was getting the breath together to tell me, and he looked me right in the eyes, and we looked at each other, and he said, "F you." And he said it just like that, with the emphasis on that F.
And the skeptics point out the obvious. If Tupac really did escape, how has he managed to stay hidden for almost 3 decades? The idea that one of the most famous men on earth could disappear completely is almost harder to believe than the fact that he's gone. Theory 5. Eminem was replaced. Back in the early...
What do you guys think about the whole Tupac situation? I believe it's possible that he could still be alive. I don't think we'll ever know, though. We'll never know if he is. And Eminem was replaced. Okay. What is this? Never heard about this.
2000s, Eminem was everywhere. But then something strange happened. Around 2005, at the height of his fame, Eminem kind of disappeared. For a while, he went completely quiet. When he came back in 2009 with his album Relapse, a lot of fans felt like the man standing in front of them wasn't the same Marshall Mathers they remembered. His face looked different, his voice sounded different, even his whole energy seemed off. That's when one of the strangest conspiracy theories in music history started to take shape. The belief that Eminem actually died in 2006, and the guy we've been seeing since is either a clone, a lookalike, or some kind of industry-made android built to keep the money flowing. According to the theory, the real Eminem supposedly died in one of 2 ways, either from a drug overdose or a secret car crash. In fact, a Spanish website, La Guía del Varón, reported in 2006, Eminem died in a car accident. The motive for replacing him, believers argue, was simple. Eminem was too valuable to lose. He wasn't just an artist, he was a billion-dollar industry, and too many people stood to lose too much if he was gone. From there, fans started pulling together evidence. First, they looked at his face. People compared pictures of Eminem from the early 2000s to his comeback years and pointed out major changes. His jawline, his bone structure, even his eyes. One fan summed up the feeling by saying, "Yeah, I believe he's a clone. It doesn't even look like him anymore, and his eyes are dead." On top of that, his body looked drastically different. Before his hiatus, Eminem had a fuller build. When he came back, he looked thinner, almost sickly at times. Some fans even said he looked anorexic. Then came the voice. Listeners claimed his delivery wasn't the same. The sharp, rapid-fire nasal tone had shifted into something deeper and flatter. Some even called it robotic. Then his style was much darker. Gone was the wild Slim Shady clowning around in colorful videos. Now he was dressed in all black with music that felt more serious and intense. But the theory didn't really explode until what's now called the glitch. In 2013, Eminem was on live TV doing an ESPN interview. While the commentators were talking, he was behaving very strangely. The clip spread all over and believers pointed to it as proof that this wasn't a real person. It was a robot malfunctioning on live television.
Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday Night crew with our music intro.
They linked it to other weird moments too, like his awkward acting in the Berserk music video or stiff movements during an SNL performance. It didn't help that other rappers added fuel to the fire. In 2016, B.O.B. started tweeting about human cloning being real. Fans immediately tied that to Eminem. And then in 2019, rapper Tom MacDonald basically turned the whole thing into a soundtrack. His song Cloned Rappers went viral, with lyrics like "They cloned Gucci, cloned Kodak, cloned Eminem." The music video showed lab-made rappers being pieced together like Frankenstein, and the YouTube comments were filled with people saying they'd always felt something was off about Eminem since his comeback. One fan wrote, "Ever since Kamikaze, he doesn't even look close to the same. It's in the eyes, the cheekbones, the chin. Something's not right." But of course, there's a much simpler explanation for all of this. Eminem himself has been brutally honest about his struggles during that time. He battled a heavy addiction to prescription drugs, and in December 2007, he almost died from a methadone overdose. He later admitted that the amount he took was equal to 4 bags of heroin.
Had I got to the hospital about 2 hours later, I would have died. My organs were shutting down. My liver, kidneys, everything. They were going to have to put me on dialysis. They didn't think I was going to make it. My bottom was going to be death.
The overdose forced him into recovery, but it left scars, both physically and mentally. He said he had to literally relearn how to rap because his memory was so damaged. In fact, in a 2017 interview, he admitted he'd forgotten one of his own music videos. Add that to the dramatic weight loss from getting sober, the natural effects of aging, and years of personal turmoil, and it's not surprising that he came back looking and sounding different. And then there's the signs problem. As a bunch of Reddit users have pointed out, clones don't just appear as full-grown adults. If Eminem was cloned, the copy would have started out as a baby, not a 30-something-year-old man with the exact same rap skills and memories. Not to mention the people closest to him, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Royce the 5'9", all of whom knew.
This makes me think of first movie, The Island, if you guys seen that. And then they cloned Tyrone. I told you a lot of times what happens is they put this stuff in your face and you be like, man, ain't no way. It's like they know we ain't gonna believe it. But at the same time, it's like they're saying the truth has been here this whole time. You guys just didn't open your eyes to it. I don't know, man. This is my first time hearing about Eminem, but I always leave that door open. Just cracked a little bit, you know. I will not completely shut that door. I leave it cracked just for the conversation. You know, you never know.
Intimately. If there was ever a replacement, those guys would notice instantly. Theory 6. Gangster rap is an experiment to fill prisons. Back in 2012, an anonymous letter popped up on the blog Hip Hop is Red. Supposedly written by a former music executive, it described a secret meeting in 1991 just outside LA. About 25 to 30 industry insiders were there, and according to the letter, the agenda was simple but dark. Push gangster rap to make prison owners rich.
Damn.
The letter claimed that these execs had major investments in private prisons, which made money based on how many inmates they held. The more crime-inspired music kids listened to, the more likely they'd land in prison, and the more money execs and investors would make. Executives were even told they could personally buy stock in these prisons. From that moment, the industry would focus on promoting rap that glorified violence and criminal life. Plenty of artists have added fuel to this theory. Too Short recalled being pushed by exec Barry Weiss to make his raunchiest album, even though he wanted to go positive. Ice Cube, in a 2023 interview with Bill Maher, bluntly said, "The same people who own the labels own the prisons."
Who benefits and profits off our bickering and our division? But if you follow the money, you go high enough, you start to see literally the same people who own the labels own private prison. It seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word.
Dame Dash agreed, saying labels controlled artists like puppets. Crazy Bone of Bone Thugs and Harmony also co-signed the idea, pointing out that wealthy black investors own prisons but don't talk about it publicly.
They were told not to sign any more political rappers, any more rappers that had messages in their music.
No positivity.
It was all to be gangster rap music that they promoted and put out. In other words, keep promoting gangster rap so that the youngsters will be influenced by them, will incite them to want to act like them, and it's a very good chance they'll end up in their prison.
Yeah.
So they're getting paid twice.
The financial web is real. Investment giants like BlackRock and Vanguard hold shares.
That's what I talk about. Yeah. When I was a kid, I used to, that's all you would hear. You walk outside, you got, you know, back in the day, like, y'all remember, it was, if you didn't have no stereo system, those loudspeakers in your car, it was like, yo, what are you even driving for? You know, it was one of them things like people were always flossing, driving down the street, bumping NWA, whatever it was. But what he's talking about is facts. You know, as you get older and you get wiser, these are the things that you really start to realize. And I say older and wiser because when you're younger, like back in the day, it wasn't that many people trying to you know, teach you right from wrong, to really guide you, because a lot of parents, a lot of older folks on drugs out there doing whatever. But, you know, if you make it out the hood, your job should be to inspire, to try to give advice. You know, like I said, I had a lot of people who are the same age as me. They just ain't here no more. You know, they died when they were in their 20s, some of them even younger. They should be in their 40s right now. But yeah, big facts.
Both private prison companies and entertainment conglomerates. Killer Mike connected the dots, saying, "Slavery is still legal. There's a need to fill the void of slaves, so I believe damn near any conspiracy that talks about putting poor people in jail." Still, not everyone is convinced. Critics point out that gangster rap already existed before 1991 with acts like NWA and Ice-T, so the genre wasn't invented by a secret meeting. Others argue that if prisons wanted to lock people up, it wouldn't make sense to market rap to suburban white kids who made up the bulk of its buyers but weren't the ones filling prisons. And the anonymous whistleblower left so many vague hints about his identity that skeptics doubt the letter's authenticity. But even with all the holes, the theory lingers, because the prison system is profitable, and the 13th Amendment does allow slavery as punishment for a crime.
Boy, that was a very interesting video. All I gotta say is, when you think about rap music and the lyrics and stuff, what comes to mind? I seen that one kid that be with Kai Sinet. What's his name? Rakai? Him and that Playboy Max dude, they were singing some new song that's out, and the young kid, Rakai, said something about like murder. And I'm like, bro, you streaming, you got all this good stuff. Why even have that bar in there? Like, share, comment below. What do you guys think about everything that was said in this video, man? I just feel like a lot of this you can't write off, man, because it's definitely some weird stuff that be going on in the industry. So, appreciate y'all coming over. Peace out.